We are ready to get started. Okay. All right. So I want to welcome each and every one of you to tonight's webinar. We'll have some periodic webinars for more of our team. And of course, when I say our team, you don't have to be personally enrolled by me. You don't even have to be in our enrollment tree. Though I will say that there's probably a good chance that you may be somewhere down the line, even if you're far down the line, because many of the top leaders we were fortunate enough to have somewhere in our organization. For instance, you talk about Tyron, for instance, Sean Walters, Jeff and Jayla and Sheila. You know, these are folks that they may not be personally enrolled by me, but they're enrolled by someone in our organization. And you know, we pride ourselves on casting a large net, building a large organization, and having phenomenal leaders as yourself. So let's go on and get started, ladies and gentlemen. There's a few things that I want to cover on tonight. Number one, I want to make sure that we are ready to load funds, and in doing so, that we understand the importance of the monthly subscriptions that we choose, and also to bring some clarity, because this has been a recent modification, bring some clarity to your actual, what we've referred to in the past as package purchases. Excuse me, I want to bring some clarity to that because the company has decided to make a move there that's going to make things just simpler across the board for people to understand. And we want to talk a little bit about culture, some of the things that we want to make sure that we are doing, that we are breeding within our team, the proper culture, particularly a culture that helps to protect the goose that lays the golden egg. We want to talk about some third-party systems. So you do not have to worry about, my gosh, you know, where am I going to get customer registrations from so that we can give these things too. We're going to also talk about, again, when I say culture, let me do a couple things here. Jubi Suite. Culture, Jubi Suite, what not to say. Give me a moment. Culture, Jubi Suite, what not to say. Gosh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. What was that other piece? Product of the product. And there's something else that escapes me, but I'll come back. Third-party systems, and then I want to make sure that we have a slight warning, some things that are concerning me that I'm seeing in the internet world, and I'm seeing some folks starting to promote certain things. And listen, I'm never going to rain on your entrepreneurial or even your investment parade. Those of you that might be involved in some type of an investment, online investment systems, I just want to warn you about some of those things so that you're not caught unawares, as I was when I first started doing a lot of business online back in 2008. I was green. I was a newbie, 2008, 2009. And I got sucked up in a few things that caused me to lose a lot of money. Not only do I not want you to lose any money, I can't stop that from happening, but I don't want you to lose any money. But more importantly, I don't want you to lose any credibility. And so we'll talk about that as well. Okay, so now, tomorrow, what's going to happen at 12 p.m. Eastern, at 12 p.m., and then again at 9 p.m. Eastern, is we're going to have two very important webinars. The company is going to give away $4,000, $2,000 on each webinar. Okay, and the 12 p.m. is going to be held at Jubi Rev Training, which is our normal Monday night webinar link. We're going to use that same webinar link. If you need to go into your calendar to get the link for the call-in numbers and the link for the time and date stamp, you feel free to go on and do that. All right, and then this is going to be the 12 p.m. Okay, and then the 9 p.m. is going to be at Jubi Rev webinar, which is typically our income opportunity presentation link. That's going to be at 9 p.m. Eastern. Because a lot of people promote this, and some of you are doing a phenomenal job. Wooter, Man, I love that blog of yours, my friend. Absolutely love that blog of yours. And so, you know, some of you are promoting this as a presentation, and so we don't want you to have a new guest come out and they get lost. So we'll spend the first 10 or 15 minutes more as a sizzle presentation, and then we will introduce the president, and he will cover the things that he is going to cover. He's going to talk a lot about, he's going to talk about a founder's promotion, and I had someone, Vicky, who Skyped me today, and she said, or maybe even the other day, I saw it today, and she was like, you know, I want to make sure that my folks are going to be able to get on the founder's promotion, even if they're Joe and Susie Abbott. And the answer to that question is going to be yes, okay? So I don't want anybody fretting over that. We do want to take action, and we want to do it sooner rather than later, but don't fret. Don't fret, okay? The company wants to make sure that all of those that have been here and that are coming aboard during this pre-launch phase that wants to be a part of that founder's promotion, you'll have your opportunities to take advantage of that. Now, tomorrow, what we've been doing here is we were doing some testing earlier this week on Solid Trust Pay. That appears to be working like a charm. I did a couple of test transactions there, and what was so beautiful is when I did the transaction, it took me straight to Solid Trust Pay. I was able to enter my Solid Trust Pay ID information, the amount that I wanted to do as my transaction. Ryan, as soon as I did that, it brought me back. I had to click a button, and it brought me back to my back office. This was all done on a test server, so you guys can't see it just yet, but it should be going live tomorrow. And voila, there it was, sitting there in my eCash. Then management was able to check on their end, and sure enough, everything that they needed to have passed through, the transaction ID, all that stuff was there. I was actually even able to see in my details the transaction ID, the date, so all that stuff was there. So Solid Trust Pay is fully integrated. There was one little piece that I think they needed to get programmed, and I'm going to make the assumption that either has already been done or that it will be done. So Solid Trust Pay looks ready to go. Now Payza, I'm understanding there could be a slight delay in Payza because Payza needed to see, so did Solid Trust Pay, so the merchant accounts, they needed to see the JubiMax.com site. Now you guys can't see that yet, but they needed to see that on the test server, which they saw. Well, Solid Trust Pay, not a problem. What Payza wanted to see is they wanted to get some type of something either from the attorney or something from the manufacturer talking about the products and them being FDA compliant and all that other stuff before they did their final yeses. So assuming that happens, I know that letters were being drawn up today or tomorrow, what have you. Payza could be a little bit longer. When I say longer, I'm hoping maybe the first part of next week. So Payza may not be fully integrated tomorrow. Now, your Jubi account, some of you have already registered for your Jubi account. Right now, what you simply need to do, excuse me, is go in your back office under My Account, My Financials, from My Account to My Financials, eCash, then Jubi Account. And if you have purchased your Jubi account, you know, that initial registration of $12.95, then when you go back there, you'll see whether or not it is active. You won't have any questions if it's active because it's going to let you know it's active. You'll have to click a button and you'll see what your routing number, your account number, even your card number and all that good stuff. So that'll be back there, okay? Now, there's also a form back there now. There is a PDF document back there that gives you your funding options, or I'm going to say loading. I want to stay away from funding. Your loading options. That gives you your loading options. So whether you're talking about using the green dot money pack or money dot green pack, something like that, going down to like your local Walmart, whether you're talking about something like that, whether you're talking about, I believe you can even ACH. I don't know the full process, but I think that may be covered in that document that's back there. And if it's not back there now, then it will probably be back there by the time tomorrow's webinars take place, okay? So that way, what the company wants to do is have multiple ways for people to load their funds or load their accounts. They want to do it in such a way as to decrease the manual processes. What we've seen in the revenue sharing world that would tend to get companies in a pickle when it comes to customer support is when they said, hey, send in a cashier's check or a money order. And then all of a sudden there would be a flood of cashier's checks and money orders, and it required just a lot of manpower. And anytime when you have that man or woman power, you also run the risk of there being an issue or someone misreads a username, or it's, the wrong position, or the wrong person is credited, so on and so forth. They may have early on some wire options. I don't know that that will be a long-term solution. It may just be a short-term solution. If you've got funds in Solid Trust Pay, that's going to be a very quick solution. Be mindful that you do need to consider the Solid Trust Pay fees, and that was the part that needed to still be programmed in there, okay? So for instance, if your intent is to have $1,000 to load up your funds, well, if you just send $1,000, $1,000 does not get to JubiRev, all right? They're going to be charged as the receiver. So what you would want to do is you would want to take whatever your intent is in terms of the amount that you want loaded in your eCash. You want to take that amount times 1.03. So for instance, if I want $1,000 loaded, I take $1,000 times 1.03, and I then need to load, let's say, or send for my Solid Trust Pay $1,030. There's going to be fees that the company has that will cover those fees, and then your net of, let's say, $1,000 will be there. Now, there are other companies, ladies and gentlemen, that eat those fees, all right? But that really is not good business, because if you think about it, if you have people using Payza or Solid Trust Pay, as a lot of people do, to load their funds, and you multiply that $30 out if the company was eating that, how many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions on a monthly basis might that wind up being? I can tell you that when I was receiving commissions through my Solid Trust Pay, through my Payza accounts with another revenue sharing model, now we were making some really good money, but my fees, just my fees, were over $4,000 a month. Multiply that out. So we don't want the company eating that, because that would show up in our daily revenue, and that our daily revenue would be lower. Okay, so we'll cover those fees. All right. Same thing with Payza. I think all of that will actually be programmed in. No. Let me not say that. No, that part's not programmed in. Do the 1.03, because what we don't want to have happen is people sending in support tickets saying, hey, I sent in 1,000, but only $970, as an example, is showing up in my eCash. Something's wrong. Y'all took $30 from me. No, that's why we're telling you this up front, okay? All right, so that's on the loading part. Now, I do not expect that we'll be able to purchase products tomorrow. Probably the earliest that's going to happen would be sometime next week. And I'm not even saying it's going to happen next week. I'm saying that's the earliest. What we're doing starting tomorrow and over the weekend and early next week is we're loading funds. Some of you have just gotten your Jubi account. Some of you are just making the decision, okay, I've got some funds in Solid Trust Pay, or I want to get some more funds to Solid Trust Pay. Maybe you have some other income opportunities that pay you through Solid Trust Pay or Payza, and maybe you want to get some of those systems paying you out so that you can use some of those funds to load up, okay? We're still waiting on the manufacturer to give the final thumbs up that they're ready to ship. So we may not be purchasing packages until they give the final thumbs up. And I'm hearing they're very, 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 very close to that, okay? I'm hearing they're very, very close to that, okay? All right, now, let's go back up here. Let's look at, all right, ready to load funds. Okay, let's talk about your monthly subscriptions and your budget. Okay, here's what we're going to have. We're going to have, let me pull this up. Give me a moment. By the way, the PowerPoint that we've been presenting from, if you notice, if you've been on the last couple of webinars, where I'm no longer doing the whiteboard that we used to, because that part of the PowerPoint, the income opportunity part of the PowerPoint, was still being worked on. We've just about gotten the PowerPoint to the point where we feel like the field is ready to receive the PowerPoint. There's maybe just a couple other things that they'll be looking at. I anticipate maybe this weekend or maybe the first of next week that the PowerPoint in some fashion will be available in your back office. So those of you that are presenters yourselves or you just want to study it will be able to get the PowerPoint. Now, the other thing that should be coming up very soon, and I know this has been a little bit longer than what we wanted, but there's been a lot of back and forth and forth and back and back and forth and forth and back on just some very minor details in the compensation plan, will be the actual comp document. I can tell you what we're doing now is if you go in your back office and go into training and go into training and comp, you'll see 2 new compensation videos have been loaded, and videos 3 and videos 4, and we did our compensation training partially from the compensation document. I can't get that out just yet. I'll wait for the company to do so, but I anticipate that will be coming out very soon as well. So you'll see all the ways that the company pays. Then what we're doing in the process is we're doing videos on every single way. So yes, you'll have the document, you'll be able to read it, but that's one thing, but it's another thing to have the understanding and to have the video that helps to bring that to life. Okay. All right, so now let's look at our budget. All right, let's look at our budget. A J director is someone who either sells $15 worth of volume to a non-promoter, or you buy $15 worth of product as a customer. So if you have a $15 a month subscription, you have the volume to be a Jade director. A Jade director, their points, as long as you are Jade, however many points you accumulate doing that Jade, as long as you're Jade, your points earn for 80 days. Your points earn for 80 days. Excuse me, I feel a cough coming. Okay. I want you factoring in your first monthly subscription with your monetary budget as you're loading funds and you're planning on what am I going to purchase and what have you. Ruby, you can sell your way there. You have a customer that buys $50 worth, all right, that qualifies you for Ruby for the month. Personally, I like the path of least resistance. I like to have that control in my court, because I can't control whether or not that customer is going to come back next month and the next month and buy $50, but I can control if I'm going to make a $50 purchase myself. All right, so Ruby, $50 a month, whether you have that subscription or you sell your way there, 85 days. Every point you earn as a Ruby director, those points earn for 85 days. If you started off with Jade and you earned 1,000 points as a Jade, those 1,000 points earned for 80 days. If you then upgraded to Ruby Direct, got the 50, and that got you to your Ruby Director rank, then any new points earned for 85 days. Any existing points have their 80-day life cycle. Emerald, 95 days, and there is a huge difference. There's a huge difference in that extra 10 days. There's a huge difference in that extra 10 days. And then diamond, that extra 10 days. There's a huge, huge difference. Okay? What I want you to do as much as your resources allow is I want you to budget in. This is what I can't say with passion and conviction on a corporate webinar. I want you to budget in the Diamond Director. I want you to budget in the Diamond Director. Why? There's multiple reasons. Number one, you know that any points you earn during this phase, they earn for 105 days. So you know that any points you earn are going to have a 105-day life cycle. If you started off at $200 a month, you did not get any commissions. Maybe you haven't referred anyone, or none of the people that you enrolled ever upgrade. They don't make any purchases of any kind. You get no commission. That's a worst case scenario, right? Okay? But you purchased some inventory, whether it was $100 worth, whether it was $2,500 worth, or what have you, gave that inventory away, and you earned some points during that period. When we start the daily revenue, now all of a sudden you start getting a daily revenue. And if you get to the point that when it's time for your next subscription, you just don't have the resources. You haven't made the profits yet to cover $200. You don't have the outside resources to load more funds to cover $200. If you have to back away and go back to Emerald for a while, or go back to Ruby for a while, all right, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. But at least those initial points had a 105-day life cycle. The other reason I'm so passionate about this, give me a moment. The other reason I'm so passionate about this is because of, bear with me. This is just one reason. One reason I'm passionate about this also is that many of you have been building a referral network. You've enrolled some folks. Now I'm going to tell you this. There's a gentleman on our team. You know, he's not personally enrolled 200 some people like Tyron has, or he's not personally enrolled 400 and some or 300 and some like Sean Walters has. He's not personally enrolled 900 and something like Coach or Frank out of Germany by way of Thailand has personally enrolled now well over 1,100 folks. He's not done that, okay? He enrolled 22 folks. Yet when I looked, because he was personally enrolled by me, and so I was able to scroll, and I looked at his organizations once they showed the generations, and it blew me away. He enrolled 22 folks. At the time that I looked at, he had 2,709 folks in his pre-enrollment organization. Will 100% of those upgrade and make purchases? No. No, we know not 100% will. Will there be a percentage of those that will upgrade and not only have a monthly subscription, but also purchase inventory in the form of Jubi Bucks? Yes. And so I want you to maximize that potential, because we don't know everybody who's going to upgrade. We don't know what everyone is going to purchase. If you're Diamond, you're going to get a 10% override if anyone that you enrolled purchases any Jubi Bucks. By the way, what we've called packages before, they still may refer to it as packages, but instead of there being a $100 package and a $250 and a $500, you can scrap all of that. It's purchase a minimum, I think, of 10 Jubi Bucks up to as 2,500 Jubi Bucks. Now, that's what we will have as we really launch to the world in this pre-launch stage. You'll be able to load up funds with more than 2,500 should you like, and you'll actually ever a man. The way that will work in time is if you made a $2,500 purchase, you'd have to give away 70% or consume or sell 70% of that inventory before, or $1,750 worth, before you could buy another $2,500 worth. That's how that's going to be ultimately, but it sounds like from what I'm hearing that at least in this pre-launch phase, as part of the founders, that you'll have that flexibility if you have the resources. And please do not hurt your family. Buy as much as your resources allow. Do not go and do a cash advance to the hilt and all that other stuff. This is a business. This is not an investment. This goes back to the culture that we want to create. This also goes back to the culture of disseminating that information to our teammates. All right. When we were with the company, they started with a Z. Some of you know that company's name. And that company had some regulatory headwinds because it didn't dot some I's and didn't cross some T's. All right. By the way, when Enron had challenges, did we stop using energy? No. When WorldCom filed bankruptcy, did we stop using the phone? No. Okay. These things happen. All right. They happen in traditional business. They happen in our industry. So we don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. We just love the fact that Jubi Rev, Jubi Max, the management team, they have spent untold hours with attorneys and consultants seeing what I's did that company not dot, what T's did they not cross, what can we do to put us in a much better position that when the regulatory test comes, and it will come at some point, that we pass that regulatory test. Okay? So now, in any event, gosh, I said that to say what? What was I talking about? I was going somewhere with that. I forgot where I was going with that. This is what I don't want you to miss out on, though. I've had conversations with folks that says, "Hey, I'm going to load $12,000." Oh, I know what I was going to say. When we were with that enterprise, we firmly taught, if you came to our webinars, we said it time and time again. Raise your right hand, agree to purchase as much inventory as your resources allow, but don't hurt yourself. Don't go out and get in debt. Don't leverage yourself, okay? So when that enterprise had some challenges, I only got one person out of 400,000 folks on our team. I only got one person that emailed me, and that one person said, "Shame on you. You made all that money, and one of my ladies, she lost everything she had because she bought thousands of dollars worth of that company's product, and now that company's no longer here." To which my reply was, either you or she didn't come to our webinars or you didn't listen to what we taught, because she would have never made a purchase of her last few thousands of dollars. This should only be discretionary funds. Now, other leaders were telling people to use credit cards, leverage, charge $10,000 on a credit card, and then pay it. No, we don't do. We do not want to teach that. That's part of setting the culture. I slept very well at night because I knew I did my job as a leader, and I did not give those types of expectations. So let's make sure that's part of our culture, all right? Now, the reason I want you to get that biggest subscription is because I'm talking to someone the other day, and they're telling me I'm going to load with 12,000. I'm talking with somebody else, and they said, "Well, I'm going to load with 20,000." And I'm like, really? My goodness, what if you were a Ruby and that person who did that is on your first level or your first generation? That's a big difference. What if you were Ruby? That's a big difference between Ruby and Emerald. And there's a big difference between Emerald and being Diamond. If that happened on your second generation, that's a 40% increase. It's not just 2 percentage points, ladies and gentlemen. It's the fact that that's a 40% increase in your overall income. Let's show you. Let's say you had someone who loaded and eventually made as much as a $10,000 purchase, okay? If they're on your second generation, all right, second generation, and you are Emerald, let's go back, and you are Emerald, you're going to get a 3% override, all right, second generation, $10,000, they could afford it, it didn't hurt their family, you're going to get a 3% override. You made $300. If you were Diamond and that happened through your second generation, whether it was one person or the combination effect of people that were on your second generation, excuse me, I feel a cough coming. That's going to be $500. So there's multiple reasons why I want you, if you can, to do the diamond. Let me share another thing with you here. All right? When we talk about the 8-level unilevel, the 8-level unilevel. Now, we're not just going to be given 8 levels of pay. We're going to have to earn our way there. The attorney loves this because one of the challenges that we've seen in the revenue sharing model is that you would have this segment of folks that looked at it as an investment, and they would come in and they would make their purchase, and then they would find a third-party system to place their ad and get customers, and they didn't pay any attention to anything that was really going on, and they were still earning. The attorneys were concerned about that. Now, that still, a person still doesn't have to recruit promoters to earn from the daily rewards. But if you want to really win with the overrides, we've got the generational bonuses. Go and watch video number 2 under the training compensation to really thoroughly understand that. And then the new video that we just posted this morning, which is video number 4 of the training and then compensation, talks about the 8-level unilevel. I believe, Ryan Bevers, I believe that for some of you, Tyron, for you, you're going to make more money in this than any other part of the compensation because of the way you're building your team. Jeff, Jayla, Sheila, because of the way you guys are building your team, you're going to make more money in time. It won't happen right away, but in time with these 0.5%. Now, in the unilevel, the unilevel is going to pay out with the monthly subscriptions. That's a different chart. The percentages are different. What you're qualified for at the different stages are different. But when we're talking about the 0.5%, and this is why I wanted to do this webinar, I can't do this on a corporate webinar. When I was with that company that started with a Z, I had a guy on my team. I didn't know this guy was going to be the stud that he became. All right? I had a guy on my team that got up to 1.4 million points. Okay? He got up to 1.4 million points. Then it was nothing for his daily revenue, and I'm actually, and those of you who were with that company, you know I'm probably giving you some very conservative numbers, right? You know this. It was nothing for him to generate $17,500 in just his daily revenue, okay? Plus, he would normally earn an additional $2,500 or more in his commissions because he was building a referral network. So it was nothing for him to generate $20,000, not a month, not a week, in a night. Nothing. I know. I was an enroller. I know. Now, what he did at that point is we taught a 20-80 strategy. Once you build your points up to a certain point, now you're ready to start putting money in your pocket. We've got to replace some of these points because we are going to have points that are going to retire. We already know that, right? We already know that our points are going to live either 80 days or 85 days or 95 days or 105 days. So I want to replace these points that are eventually going to retire. And I want to build upon those points. I want more points. If I'm at 10,000 points, I want to get to 12,000. If I'm at 12,000, I want to get to 15. 15, I want to get to 20. I want to get to 25. I want to get to 50. I want to get to 100,000. I want to get to 250,000. I want to get to 500,000, so on and so forth. Okay? All right, now, this gentleman, he would put 20% of his revenue and commissions into his pocket. That's what he took home as a take-home for the day, maybe $4,000 as an example. He would repurchase 80% in inventory, $16,000. And this is what the company would commission me on. Now, because he was first generation to me, I got a 10% commission for the day. For the day. Not a bad. Oh, happy day. Woo! You know, see, this is why I like to do my own webinars, because I couldn't do it on a corporate webinar. I'd have to keep it, but, you know, this is my webinar. You don't like my webinars, I love you, but this is me. Oh, gosh, what a day. What a day. Now, here's what we didn't have with that model. We did not have this unilevel. We did not have this unilevel. So you say, so what's 0.5%? What's the big deal? 0.5%. Here's the big deal, ladies and gentlemen. Because had this guy, because this guy didn't start off being this barn burner initially. With the Jubi suite that will be going live very soon. If you do not know what the Jubi suite is, there is a live training that we've recorded. You will find this under your calendar function. And then under calendar, you're going to find where it says recorded calls. I believe it's the second video there, but it is descriptive. It does say training on the Jubi suite. You want to make sure that you take time out of your busy schedule to view that training, Jubi suite, okay? And you view video number 4 on the compensation, and this is going to be found under training, training comp, video number 4. What we do is we break down this chart where you get it. Now, let's talk about my buddy. If we had this system with that company, and though I personally enrolled him, if I had run a contest using the Jubi suite, and let's say that Frances from New York, she won the contest, I placed my buddy Brian in her organization so that now Brian would be on her first level. I would not lose anything in terms of my generational 10% override, but what would this have meant for Frances from New York? Let me show you. Frances would have gotten 0.5% of that $16,000 transaction that night, and whatever it was the next night, and whatever it was the next night. Okay, so what's the numbers? 16,000 times 0.5%, $80. $80. Wait a minute. That was for the night. What about the next night? What about the next night? What about the next night? If, can't promise these numbers here, but if that had happened for a 30-day stretch in a month, Frances would have earned an additional $2,400 in overrides because of this 0.5%. And she didn't even enroll the guy. She won a contest. Tyron, are you seeing this, buddy? Because now, this is why I want that what your monthly subscription is vitally important, because you have an 8 level if you are at $15 a month, but you're not qualified yet to earn from it. You have 8 levels if you're Ruby, but you're not qualified yet to earn from it. If you're Emerald, $100 a month, you're qualified for 2 levels. You're qualified for 2 levels. So that means that if your enroller, if you won a contest that your enroller was running and they place someone in your organization, you can earn from 2 levels. Well, if you have someone on your 3rd or your 4th or your 5th level, you're not going to limit that. What you're going to want to do is get yourself to diamond as soon as you can, so that now you earn on 3 levels. And then you're going to say, I want to get to 1 carat diamond, which really, when I looked at the compensation plan again today and I saw what it took to get to 1 carat diamond, I thought, is that it? That didn't take much. Some of you are going to be 1 carat diamonds based on what you're already building and based on what people's monthly subscriptions are going to be. Some of you are going to be 2 carat diamonds, 6 levels. Some of you will eventually get to 8 carat diamond. Now, some of you might get there in this pre-launch phase, all right, because it's all based on, that's all based on monthly volume. And guess what a monthly subscription is? Monthly volume. This is another reason why we want our team to get started at $200 a month, because what that does is that empowers as many people as possible to start getting the volume necessary to hit these other promotion points. Now, I don't think I'm at liberty just yet to tell you what it takes to be a 1 carat or a 2 carat. It's not a whole lot, ladies and gentlemen, and it's based on volume coming through your unilevel. But do keep this in mind. You'll only be able to count, I shouldn't say only, you can count 60% from any one leg. Let's say, for instance, I know that for the Jubi Suite car bonus, okay, one of the qualifiers is you need $15,000 a month in monthly qualifying volume. What does that mean? Anyone in your unilevel, whether you enrolled them or they came from your enrollment tree, or whether someone was placed in your unilevel, anyone in your unilevel, their monthly subscription counts towards this $15,000 volume. Your monthly subscription counts towards this $15,000 volume. Everyone in your unilevel, even if you're not yet qualified for all levels, if you've got folks in 8 levels of your unilevel, but you're only qualified now for the first 2, the system is going to count all of the volume in your entire 8-level unilevel to qualify you for a Porsche or Mercedes or a BMW. You will hit first 1 carat diamond before you get the car. So I just gave you a hint there. If 15,000 is the volume requirement to get to the car, and you will hit 1 carat before you get to the car, I just gave you a big hint that it doesn't take $15,000 of monthly volume to get to 1 carat. So, leaders, the more of our folks that start off with a $200 a month subscription, they can afford it. We're not going to ever apply any pressure if they don't have the resources. Then the more volume you're going to have, so that when everything launches, you're going to be able to see all of that volume, and you may be going to 1 carat diamond, 2 carat diamond, perhaps even presidential diamond, and getting those 0.5%. Ladies and gentlemen, this right here, I'm telling you, for those of you that dare to build a team, Zeke and Jerry Stewart, I know what you're capable of doing. For those of you, Sean Walters, I know what you're capable of doing. Jeff and Jayla and Sheila, I know what you guys are capable of doing. Queen, Dave, I know what you guys are capable of doing. This right here, I believe in time, will be the biggest part of your income for those of us who build the business, even bigger than the 10 and 5s. Ladies and gentlemen, we made a ton of money on the 10 and 5s, those generational overrides with another company. This right here, I believe, will be even bigger. So I want us to budget in as much as we can, $200 for our first monthly subscription, number one. Number two, oh, by the way, just so you know, with your monthly subscription, you're going to get a corresponding amount of personal use Jubi bucks. These are not bucks that you give to someone else to generate points. These are bucks that you use. So just think of it like you would if you were in a traditional MLM and you were on auto ship for $15 a month. So what you'll do is you'll come back in the system and choose the products that you want and just have them auto ship to you, okay? Because you're going to pay you $50 a month anyway, or excuse me, your $100 a month, or your $200 a month. So here's a big thing that our attorney likes. Excuse me, I feel another cough. Excuse me. In times past, people were on a monthly subscription in the revenue sharing industry, and let's say they got bids. So they were $200 a month, and they got 200 bids, and then they never used the bids. I know I didn't. 17 months I was with the company. I probably went to the auction 5 times. I didn't have the time. And I didn't see that, and that's one of the challenges that that particular system had. Whereas here, I'm going to be on $200 a month. I can tell you, we're definitely getting the energy product. I can tell you that my wife went to the doctor the other day, and when he took her blood pressure, he said, wow, that's really good, Karen. What have you been doing differently? There's a cardio product. That's the only thing she'd done differently. There's a cardio product that we haven't even talked about. Well, we're going to keep getting that because that cardio product's been working. Apparently, it's been working. Someone else who's been testing that cardio product told me that, hey, I think I'm going to have to come off of some of my medication because, wow, it's been lower than it should have been. Well, what's going on? Well, I think it's because I'm probably taking too much of my medication. I need to go to my doctor and see if they're going to take me off some of it. That person has been using the cardio product. Okay? We haven't even talked about that. All right, so what you're going to want to do as soon as you get your monthly subscription, as soon as we can purchase products, go on and get your product. All right, this is going to be important because commissions will be paid on the monthly subscription, but here's the caveat from a legal standpoint. Commissions can only be paid once the product is actually purchased. So if I do my $200 a month, but then I don't go out and say, hey, ship me some products, guess what happens? They didn't release any commissions because, again, we want this to be a compliant business model. We want to make sure that what we are working so doggone hard to build is not does not abruptly stop 18 months from now or 19 months from now because we had a good run, made a lot of money, but it wasn't compliant and they came and shut it down. Not interested in that. Not interested in that, ladies and gentlemen. You're working too hard. Your name means way too much. You're putting your name on the line, getting your link out, telling people to come to Jubi Rev, Jubi Max. Your name means too much. My name means too much. We can't stop the regulator, but we can do our darndest to make sure that we are in compliance based on what we understand that they like and what they don't like. Okay. All right, so then the next thing you're going to do is instead of you having to worry about, well, what package am I going to get? Am I going to get a, wait a minute, where is that? Oh, there it is. Am I going to get a $100 package or $250 or $500 or $1,000 or $2,500? The company said, no, let's just make this simple for folks. This is what we're going to do. You want to purchase some Jubi bucks? Purchase some Jubi bucks. 10, now the last time I saw the programming it was saying 15, so I'm assuming that that's going to be changing from 15 down to 10. If you see 15 tomorrow, then no, ultimately that will probably turn to 10, okay? To 2,500 Jubi bucks. Now remember, you're going to be able to load up more than 2,500 into your system if you'd like. So that way, just keep it simple. Choose a monthly subscription, purchase as many Jubi bucks as your resources allow. Choose a monthly subscription, purchase as many Jubi bucks as your resources allow. Instead of having to pick a package, and this package has this and that and that and this. Now the company is going to incentivize a couple of things, okay? Because what the company wants to make sure that happens here is that people are not just giving away Jubi bucks simply because it's easy and then Jubi bucks never get used. That's one of the challenges that a company in the penny auction space had. We would buy bids, we would give the bids away, that would generate points. Most people never used the bids. And when the regulatory agencies came in to take a look, they said nobody's using the bids. The bids aren't worth anything, okay? So what the company wants to do, the company is going to award you 1 Jubi point for every 1 Jubi buck you give away. But they're going to give you an additional award of an extra 5% or 1.05 Jubi points for every product sample you give away. This is how this would work. Let's say that someone gets a product sample from you, and it's $100 sales order. They pay their shipping and handling, okay? All right. Well, you need to have 100 Jubi bucks in your inventory for that $100 order that they are essentially getting, right? The company's not paying for the sample. The customer's not paying for the sample. They're paying the shipping and handling. Who's paying for the sample? You and I are, okay? So you need 100 Jubi bucks for that particular sample. That's $100. Well, if you just gave 100 Jubi bucks to them, you would earn 100 Jubi points for your daily pool. However, if you did the sample giveaway, it required 100 Jubi bucks, but they actually get the sample, you get 105 Jubi points. Why? Because the company wants to incentivize us to give product away to real customers, none of this fake customer registration stuff, real customers, because this gives us a much better chance that the customer receives the product, likes it, and maybe comes back and purchases more, which generates more revenue for the company. We see that in our daily rewards. Plus, from a regulatory standpoint, when Mr. Regulator comes, and at some point he will, when Mr. Regulator comes, instead of the company simply showing this list of all these customer registrations and none of these people have transacted, all right, the company's going to be able to show a list of all these customer registrations, but look at all these customers that actually got physical product. They took out of their credit card, their debit card, and they covered the shipping and handling, and then a portion of those converted into longer-term customers. So the company is going to reward us if we give away Jubi bucks. Now, the same thing is going to happen if you give away a Jubi Resort membership. Now, a Jubi Resort membership, I would need to have 175. I need 175 Jubi bucks to give away one resort membership. That one resort membership is going to give the customer access to the booking engine where they can book three, excuse me, they can book 3 8-day, 7-night vacations at an extremely, extremely reduced rate. Maybe as low as $499 for a week, and they'll even be able to use as many as 100 Jubi bucks for that week. So imagine being able to give someone access to a booking engine. They go into the booking engine, they see an 8-day, 7-night vacation in Orlando, Florida, or in Jamaica, or in Tahiti, in Hawaii, or what have you. They get a much better reduced rate, no timeshare presentation. They book it, and instead of it being $2,000 for the week, maybe they're getting it for $499. Maybe it's $599. Maybe it's $899, depending on the time of the year, so on and so forth. They can use some Jubi bucks, up to 100 Jubi bucks, to offset that. If you've given them 100 Jubi bucks, they can use 100 Jubi bucks to offset their pricing. So if they got $499 for the week, use 100 Jubi bucks, they now get it for $399. Ladies and gentlemen, $399 divided by 7 nights, that comes up to $57 a night. Flying out to meet the president next week, spend some time with the president and some other great leaders next week, and where I wanted to stay was about $200 a night at the Embassy Suites. It's a lot more room than a regular room, but I would not have my family staying in an Embassy Suites for 8 days and 7 nights. A family of 5, that wouldn't work, okay? So if you give away access to a resort booking engine, you need 175 Jubi bucks to do so, but you're going to be rewarded an additional 5%, or 183. I think it's like 183.5 Jubi points. So what the company wants to do is they want to say, hey, yeah, you can just give away Jubi bucks and you get one Jubi point for each Jubi buck. But we'd really like to see you give away things that the customer either gets a physical sample or they get a chance to go on maybe a book a vacation, have an experience with Jubi, have a Jubi experience, And maybe because of that Jubi experience, either they come back and consume more and more stuff, maybe they even become a Jubi promoter themselves. Okay? All right, so you want to choose your monthly subscription, 15, 50, 100, or 200. I would love to see you do 200 if you can. If you don't have the resources to do 200, try to get as close to 100. At least do 100 if you can. Why? Because that at least has you eligible for income in the unilevel. At least has you eligible for income in the unilevel at the emerald position. At least has you eligible there. If you're diamond 200, you've got 3 levels that you're immediately qualified for. Now, again, this has nothing to do with the monthly subscriptions. The monthly subscriptions is a different chart. Same unilevel, but it's a different chart, different percentages, and you're qualified for maybe different levels out of the gate, okay? At least try to do that. If you do this, and enough of your teammates that you may have either in your generations, or if someone happens to be placed in you because someone above you used a Jubi tool or the Jubi Suite tool and placed someone in your organization, then their volume will also account towards your volume for you to get to the higher ranks of 1 carat diamond, then 2 carat diamond. Their volume is going to help you get to your car. Their volume is going to help you get to presidential, so on and so forth. Okay? I will say this. I don't know if I brought this out. There is a 60% rule. 60% says, let's say Tyron, all right? Tyron was personally enrolled by yours truly. Tyron is kicking Katootie. He is building a huge, huge, huge team, okay? But so that I don't just sit on my laurels, the company says I can count the volume coming from Tyron's leg for 60% of my overall volume requirements. In other words, for me to get my car bonus, all right, I need $15,000 a month in my 8 levels in terms of monthly volume, and subscription volume goes to monthly volume. I can count Tyron's 1 leg for 60% of that, or 9,000. But I can't just rest on my laurels and say, oh, I personally enrolled Tyron, man, he's at the top of the leaders board and he's got several thousand folks, man, I just sit back and relax and do nothing. No. I need to bring some more. I need to bring some more to the table. That is smart, because now that ensures that I'm not resting on my laurels. I do more production. More production means more revenue for the company. More revenue for the company means more revenue for every single one of us. Okay? All right, let's go back to my notes. I need to start rounding third here. All right, so we talked about loading funds. We talked about the package. So that's really, really easy now. You don't have to worry about, do I get a $100 package or a $250 or what have you. Again, load funds with as much as your resources allow. You know, so if it winds up being more than $2,500, fantastic. Okay, that just means that when you give your samples away and what have you, you're going to have more points. Just don't hurt your family. Culture. Don't have a lot of time to cover all of this tonight. Jubi Suite. We want to make sure that we understand the Jubi Suite. Again, in your back office, under your calendar, under recorded calls, there is a Jubi Suite training. If you've got to watch that 25 times, watch it 25 times. This is going to be a major, major part of our culture. Understanding the Jubi Suite, running a contest, getting people really buzzed about contests. One contest ends, runs another one, then run another one, then run another one. Culture, what not to say. We're not going to say use terminology that would be used in the investment and the banking world. So we are not going to talk about, we're not going to say we earn 1.25% last night. We are never going to say that. We're never going to say that. We're never going to say that. The company's never going to say it. Never going to have it in this company material. That was problematic with that company that had a penny auction, because in their company material they mentioned 1.4%. Well, that was problematic. We're never going to say that. You're never going to say that. You're never going to have it on a blog. You're never going to You're never going to say we may earn 1.25%. What we will be able to say is that we got a reward per point. By the way, in examples that I have used, here in the presentation material, give me a moment. The examples that we would use on the whiteboard, where'd she go? The examples that we use on the whiteboard, when we said Joe has 100 JPs and he earns a reward of 1.25 Jubi bucks, I never mentioned a percent there. Sue earned 1250. Julio earned 125. Now, you could do the math and figure out what that comes up to, but it was never mentioned, it was never uttered, and that right there, ladies and gentlemen, that right there, when the attorney saw that, he had no problem with this at all. None whatsoever. Earned $1.25, 1250. All right? It's no different if I did this, if I said, if I took the 1.25, divided that by 100 Jubi points, I come up with 0.0125. What in times past we said is, I earned 1.25% last night. That we're not going to say. I earned 1.4% last night. I earned 1.78. That we are not going to say. And if you see it or hear someone say it, protect the goose that lays the golden egg. Tell them, oh, get that down. Don't do that, because I'm telling you, if corporate finds out about it, corporate's going to be very strict on that. They're going to be very stern, as well they should be, to protect this goose that lays the golden egg, okay? It's the same concept. We just didn't use the terminology because the terminology in the U.S. is problematic. The terminology is problematic, okay? So we're not going to use percent. You can say, hey, my reward per point last night was 0.0125. If your reward per point was 0.0142, but you didn't say we earned 1.42% last night. Big difference. Big difference. We want to be a product of the product. That was one of the main issues that hurt that other company, is not only were customers not using the product, but neither were the reps. This is why we lead with the income opportunity presentation. Half of it is on the product. I lost sight of that because the money was so good. I wasn't a product of the product. I wasn't leading by example. I wasn't leading my team to use the product. And one of the issues that the regulator had was they said out of all those bids that were bought and sold, only a very minute percentage of those were ever used. So now what the company did, boy, I'm telling you, guys, we got some smart folks behind the scenes. All right, some really smart folks. So what the company did is the company said, okay, for your monthly subscription, you're going to get personal use Jubi bucks. You can't give those away to generate points. You got to use them. So now we're going to be products of the product, aren't we? If you want to take some Jubi bucks that month and use that to offset going on an 8-day, 7-night vacation, do it. You want to take the Jubi bucks and get your own products, great. If you want to take the Jubi bucks and get some products that you kind of have on display, if you're doing like a home meeting or a home party or what have you, do it. Do it. Product of the product. Now, for some of our international folks, this is going to be a little bit more challenging because some of our international folks, either the company won't ship or and there might be some cases where the shipping amounts may be prohibitive. As the company grows and is able to identify some of those countries where we're getting the most attraction, then they may go, they may set up some distribution channels out of those countries. The company is already working on things so that if it is a product issue of getting a product to certain countries, that folks in those certain countries can still use other services. That's one of the reasons why the travel is there. So even if you're in a country where either the product can't be shipped to you or it is not cost effective right now to have that product shipped to you, then what are you giving away? Well, give away access to the travel booking engine. All right? Give that away until we have other services that could be used that are maybe electronic in nature. The company wants to have real physical product that's shipped out. That really, really puts a smile on the attorney's face. At the same time, the company realizes we're in a global marketplace, and I've already heard some discussions, but I'm not at a point where I can talk about those, about some things coming up down the road. I will say this. Mr. J. Joshua Beisel is one visionary leader. This guy has a vision. He's got a long-range vision, and many of you get a chance to meet him on next week. Third-party systems. All right, I can't talk about third-party systems from a corporate webinar, but we do have them. We will have a third-party system that, for those of you that maybe want to have an ad posting service, maybe you want that, all right? I know there's another third-party system out there that's going to do some ad posting to Facebook, which is a tremendous system in and of itself. But I think many of you are going to be wondering, what about customer registrations? Am I going to be able to purchase customer registrations? The answer to that is a resounding yes. Now, the folks that we will be using for our team that we'll be suggesting that you consider using, all right, their site is just about ready to go. They've asked me not to divulge their site just yet because they want it to look just right before you see it. I will tell you, you will be able to purchase customer registrations, and here's a big difference. And I'll start rounding third in a few moments and open up for some optional Q&A. Here's a big difference. For those of you that were with that penny auction company, or those of you that have followed us from a travel company, okay, and we purchase customers, now what I have found out is that the source of those customers, many of those customers never, ever saw your site. Many of those customers, maybe the majority of those customers, never saw your site, which would then explain to me why there was such a very, very poor conversion rate of people that got bids that didn't use them. Because when we were purchasing customers, now what I have found out is that the types of customers that many of us purchased were known as co-reg leads, where these folks saw something online that maybe said, hey, save some money, or get some free bids for a penny auction, but they never saw your penny auction site. They put in their name, they put in their email address, or what have you, and they never were driven to your site to find out about your penny auction company or to find out about your travel company. And as a result, you purchase customer registrations, but many of those customers never converted to anything other than a customer registration. Now, that was problematic when Mr. Regulator came to see that penny auction company, because that penny auction company, I don't know this to be true, I wasn't in there, but I would imagine that if Mr. Regulator looked at all of these customer registrations, and then if he asked, well, show me your customers, your real customers, and if you have all these customer registrations who never saw the site and very little conversion, that would not bode well. So the system that we will be using, some of you have used a third-party service, and you have really loved that third-party service. All right, you're going to love them. They're there. All right. The difference is where the customers are being generated from. What has happened is we've connected with, you hear me talk about this group all the time. You hear me talk about a professional affiliate marketing group. This is the group where the idea of skincare and weight loss and energy and vitality really started to come from as it relates to a product line, because they were doing affiliate marketing, earning over 6 figures a month without building a team, promoting those types of products. Well, reached out to this professional affiliate marketing group. They reached out to some of their professional affiliate marketing friends that have huge lists, that have huge real customer generating traffic, And so we will be able to purchase customer registrations through this site that I can't name tonight. Maybe when we have a webinar, we'll probably have a webinar next week. We'll be on the road. We'll figure out something, okay? But once they tell me the site is ready, you'll be able to go and purchase customers. But the difference is these customers will see your Jubi Max site. So whether you're promoting a Jubi Max site that is giving away Jubi Bucks, they're going to see that. They're going to actually see the site. Or a Jubi Max site that is giving away a sample of, let's say, skincare, they're going to see that. So the potential of the conversion rate is much, 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 much greater. Now, I don't know what the conversion rate is going to be. I can't say it's going to be 10%, 1%. That I don't know. My point is we're going to be able to have customer registrations, number one. Number two, our customer registrations will come from real sources that see your site. So that gives us a much better chance of having that customer actually convert to getting the sample and maybe actually doing business with us longer term. I can't talk about that on a corporate webinar, but this is not a corporate webinar. This is our webinar, okay? All right, so as soon as they tell me, I will let you know what that source is. Now, lastly here, third part, okay, lastly here, but we are behind, but we will eventually have developed our own team training site. I thought I had JubiRevTeam.com for that, and then I was told that last week, they said, thank you for promoting my site. So I thought I'd bought that one, but maybe somebody else bought it. I've got a bunch of Jubi type URLs. We're going to have a team training site. This is going to, on the team training site, obviously you'll be able to log in. Now, we want to do as much training as we can from a corporate standpoint, so that people, no matter who their enroller is, can go to the corporate and get the training they need. There's going to be some things that, once again, even from a corporate standpoint, that corporate can't say, that I can't say even on a video that's designed for corporate if I'm doing that training video. There'll be other voices you're going to be hearing over time anyway. But there's certain things I can say in my own training system. There'll be some things that won't necessarily relate to Jubi specifically, but may relate to how you deal with money. So that as you're making money, I want to make sure that you're not going out and getting doodads. So we might have some financial training that we'll post in the team training site. We'll have some of these great leaders that have their own styles and their own methods. One of our teammates was telling me some things he was doing on Skype. So maybe we'll have some of our leaders that will start to share some of their nuggets of what are you doing on Skype? Oh, wait a minute, what are you doing, Corey Crabb, on Facebook? What are you doing on Twitter? All right, and so in time, we'll be able to post some of those things in the team training site. Additionally, there's some webinars, for instance, that we may do from a corporate side, but there is a process where, I have to load it to them and they have to load it up, and if they've got a lot of things going on from programming, it might be delayed a day or two. Where maybe, if I already have the information, maybe I can go on and load that up to the team training site. And just a lot of things we're going to be able to do in that team training site. I've even asked programming, well, I'll just leave it at that. There's a lot of things we're going to be able to do with that team training site. Now, the programming team behind JubiRev, Jubi Max is actually assisting, or they've got somebody who's going to be working on the team training site. Okay, so this is a little bit behind because obviously right now the main focus is JubiRev, Jubi Max. All right, but it's going to be a very, very tight, very good training system. Now, until we have that up, if you are not a part of our email list, you can send, I know my internet marketer is going to get me, why don't you send me to a lead capture page? I know. I've never claimed to be some great internet marketer. I just know how to connect with people. If you would send a blank email to JubiRevTeam@aweber.com, that'll put you in our list. JubiRev team at aweber.com. If you want to tell any of your folks to subscribe by going to JubiRev team at aweber.com, just send a blank, just send an email. Just send an email, and you can just say add me. That's all you've got to do. The system is going to automatically add you. You may get a confirmation when you have to confirm. And this way, you will get the emails we send out. I normally send out 2 emails a day, one in either the late morning or early afternoon, one in the later afternoon. A lot of time the content is the same, but this way we've got a global audience. Maybe if you missed the earlier one, you see the one in the afternoon. I can tell you, give you an example. Monday night, the webinar with the president, that was recorded. All right. I had the audio link out to our email list on Tuesday. Now, that link is now in your back office, but it took an extra day. All right. But Monday, if you are part of our email list, you got that Tuesday morning the link from the Monday night webinar. We'll also let you know about, keep you updated about the corporate webinars, keep you updated about things that are going on. By the way, I know now that tomorrow the company is giving away $4,000. The rest of the world doesn't know that yet. You do. Our email list folks will know that. All right. So the company's giving away $4,000, $2,000 at each of the 2 webinars. That's pretty impressive. They haven't even taken in 1 dime yet. That's pretty impressive. What they've given away? They gave away $3,000 last week, and a couple of weeks they gave away maybe 500 at a couple of the webinars. Okay. All right. So JubiRev team at aweber.com. Here's the deal. For those of you who are newer to my following, or our following, I should say, let me tell you what we never do. We never, ever, ever send out any personal referral link about anything else to this list. This is all Jubi, ladies and gentlemen. This is all Jubi. We build with character and integrity because the only thing we have in this industry is our name. If we have a clean name, if we have a good name, we'll always make money. If our name is compromised, and I will do everything, anything to defend my name. Some of you that have followed me, you heard me last week defending name. I will do everything to defend my name because that's my character. That's who I am. That's all I have is my good name. Without my good name, I don't have a following. I don't have people that are willing to come and join us in JubiRev. So we are never, ever, ever going to send out any personal referral links. You never have to worry about, T. Lamont picked up some new income opportunity and he's going to send out his referral link about another income up. Nope, never going to do that. That's just not how we do business. We do business right. Okay? All right, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I have gone over everything that I needed to cover or wanted to cover tonight. I could go another 2 hours, but you probably don't want that. So why don't we open up for questions and optional Q&A. Oh, I'm sorry, one last thing. Tonight at 9:30 p.m., it's a little more than an hour. On Wednesday nights, we have a webinar called Every Day Can Be Payday, and the webinar link is webinar.com. Every Day Can Be Payday, webinar.com. We have that at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We will not have that on next Wednesday because we'll be in Phoenix. All right, but we have an Every Day Can Be Payday webinar at 9:30 p.m. What is this? This is an income opportunity presentation webinar. It does not name any particular revenue sharing model. There's multiple models out there, obviously. Because we don't name any particular revenue sharing model, because I'm not going to say JubiRev, JubiMax on that webinar, then I'm free to share stories about what we've seen in the revenue sharing space. I'm free to talk about Lynn, who heretofore had never made much money in the industry, that using a revenue sharing model in a few months was making enough to make a car payment. A few months after that, house note. A few months after that, $1,000 a week cash in hand, about 14 months in. I'm free to talk about Ramondo, who went the first 6 months, never referred or sold, but in 6 months was generating $1,000 a week, $800 to $1,000 a week. So I can tell those stories because as my mentor, Zeke and Jerry Stewart, taught me years ago, that facts tell, but stories sell. I can't tell those stories on a corporate JubiRev webinar. from a compliance standpoint. But since I don't name any companies, I'm much freer in what we can say. So that's tonight. Feel free to invite guests to that particular webinar. You can come to that particular webinar. That webinar, I am telling you, has helped a lot of people, recruit a lot of people into their enterprises. Okay, let's see what questions you have. Oh, someone says, oh, warning. Oh, that's what I forgot. I forgot the warning. Real quick, I'm sorry. One thing I do want to warn you about, when I first came onto the internet, I used to build my businesses offline, doing the presentations and trainings and traveling the country, doing that to build our teams. We made the decision to come onto the internet. I'm still not an internet guru. I just took that skill set and started doing webinars and some YouTube videos, so on and so forth. When I first came onto the internet, 2008, 2009, to be my primary way of building my business, I ran into some online investment systems that, I knew better because I've come from an investment background, but the greed bug hit me. I ran into systems that were paying 1% a day, and you didn't have to build a business, you didn't have to recruit anybody, you didn't have to do any production, anything. I ran into systems that paid 2% a day. I ran into systems that paid, I saw one system that paid 3% a day, and one system that paid 3% a day, they paid like clockwork. Man, if you put $10,000 into that system, you were making $300 a day like clockwork. Every morning, about the same time in the morning, you would get an email saying, you've been paid your interest. You've been paid your interest. And oh my gosh, it was beautiful. It was true passive income. That's another word we're never going to use with Jubi Rev. It's not passive. It's not passive. So take that passive word out of your vocabulary. This was true passive income. And boy, I remember this particular one was going to, you tied up your principal for a certain period of time, and your principal, you're going to get your principal back out at Christmas time, okay? And so I'm getting my 3% a day. I'm getting my 3% a day. The greed bug has hit me, and I just let it compound and grow and grow and grow. We're not going to say compound as it relates to Jubi Rev. I just let it grow and grow and grow. And then Christmas was supposed to come, and I was supposed to get all this money. And Christmas came and went, and we never got the money. And then January came and went. We never got the money, and all of a sudden the website was gone. And all of a sudden there was another one. These are called high-yield investment programs. Hypes. And then there was another one, okay? 2% a day, 2.5% a day, 1.5% a day looks good. Now, man, they pay out. Man, they pay religiously. They pay religiously. Well, yeah, until they leave, until they're gone. And typically, there's not a lot of warning. Now, I've learned over the time that some of the warning signs are when they come out with a new, new investment plan that says, hey, if you tie up your principal for a longer period of time, maybe it was before it was 50 days or 60 days. Now, hey, we got this new plan. If you tie up your principal for 120 days and you don't take out any interest, we're going to give you even more. Well, I've started to learn that might be a warning sign. You are big boys and big girls. I am never going to rain on your entrepreneurial parade. If you promote something else, I'm never going to rain on that parade. I'm never going to rain on your investment parade. I understand. You just want to make money. That bottom line, I understand. You want to take care of your family. But I have an obligation, if I've seen it before, to at least put that warning out. Now, when I first came online in 2008, 2009, those types of systems seemed to have their own following. They seemed to kind of be segregated in their own world. It was like a hype world. Now what I'm seeing is more traditional network marketers, more traditional MLMers have started and playing around with these hypes, and that's fine. I'm not going to rain on your parade. But now what I'm seeing that does concern me is I'm seeing good people starting to promote a lot of these hypes, sending out mass emails about join this hype, get 2% a day, get 2% a day, or getting 2.15% a day. I'm getting to, what have you. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm not going to rain on your parade. I'm just saying I want you to be very careful, because there's a system right now pays 2-something% a day. and they pay on time, and they're going to have some big shindig at Easter. Boy, that sounds so much like what I ran into a few years ago. As a matter of fact, they even have some religious overtones. That's exactly what that system had a few years. Is it the same people? I don't know. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying be careful. What I'm concerned about now is I'm seeing some people even promoting Jubi Rev, and that's fine, but I'm on your email list and you're promoting 4 and 5 and 6 other things. Not a problem with that. It's the other things you're promoting that concern me. You're not necessarily promoting a company that has products and services that has a chance of being here long term. I'm seeing a lot of promotion of these 1, 2, 3% a day deals with your name tied to it and not with any disclosures. I'm seeing people saying, hey, you don't have to recruit anybody and you don't have to place any ads and you get 2% a day. And there's no disclaimer that says, hey, this is a high yield investment program, high risk. High reward maybe, but high risk. This thing could go away tomorrow. I'm not seeing that, and what concerns me is without those type of disclaimers, if you get a lot of people involved in those things and all of a sudden the things goes belly up, that might hurt your name, and I don't want your name hurt. So I want you to be careful. There are even some companies that are now in the revenue sharing space. And you know I want to see multiple companies in the revenue sharing space that do well. I need to see. One of the problems that Z company had was that it was not sharing it with anybody, meaning they were the big behemoth. There was no other company growing alongside them, so they grew faster than what they really outgrew themselves because there was nobody else there. The other companies, Bidify, the other companies, Bid to Give, came along later in the game. I want to see Bids to Give successful. I don't have a position there, not promoting it. All right, have got no problem with the folks there. I want to see them successful. I want to see there's one that deals with travel. I want to see them successful. There's one that deals with advertising. I want to see them successful. But here's a litmus test. Don't get fooled by just a company that pays a good daily revenue sharing amount. Don't get fooled. Here's your litmus test. Are the real products and services that people would use even if they're not a part of the income opportunity? If that answer is no, if all you see is here's a deal where you get advertising and you can advertise your sites, but there's nothing talking about customers so that everybody who's advertising their sites are also a part of the income model. By the way, did we see that in 2009? We saw that one before. It was called Adventures for You. We saw that one before. It was called AdGate World. We saw that one before. It was called JubiGlobal. And over those types of systems, when they crashed and burned, yours truly, at least $30,000 was gone. Please hear my heart. I'm not going to ever rain on your parade. If you're a part of those systems, all right, just understand what they are. Understand them for what they really are. Understand them for what they really are. They can give you a good story. Hard to verify whether or not that story is true. It could be simply recycling money. And no, I'm not going to call it a Ponzi. What I call a Ponzi is the Social Security Administration system here in the U.S. That's the real Ponzi. I just want you to be careful. All right, so there's my warning. I love you guys. I love you guys. I don't want to see you get hurt, and I don't want to see your folks get hurt. If you do any of those types of systems, please make sure it's with discretionary income. If you do any of those types of systems, please, 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 I'm begging you. I am right now, if you could see me, I just got on my knees. Please, please, please. If you're going to involve other people with those and refer other people, please give them huge disclaimers so they understand what they are, so you don't have your name hurt, okay? All right, so let's go to questions and answers. Thank you for your patience. So you did not have to go from this. Okay, so someone has asked me, did I have to go from STP to the e-wallet to corporate or just STP direct to Jubi? What I did, Vicky's asking me a question about when I did a test from STP. Now, you guys can't see this yet, but they sent me over to the test server. This is what you should be able to see tomorrow. When you log into your, you'll go into your Jubi account, Vicky. You go in under My Financials, My Account, then My Financials. You then go to where it says eCash. When you go to eCash, you're going to see a button, a big button that says Load Money or Load Funds. You click on there, and it's going to give you your options to load. And STP will be an option there. All right, there'll be a drop down that says, well, how much do you want to load with? Yesterday, the drop down said $15 was the minimum. I'm assuming that's going to be changed to 10. All right, and it had these, let's say it was 15 and 25 and 50 or what have you. The numbers might have been different, but I know it started at 15. That'll probably come back to 100, all the way up to like 2,500. So what I did is I think I did a $15 test. All right, I clicked on $15. It took me straight to Solid Trust Pay for me to log in to my Solid Trust Pay account. It told me that I was going to be paying Jubi Max. It maybe said Jubi Rev, Jubi Max. I'm not sure, but I know I remember Jubi Max. I entered in with my STP credentials. I had to enter in my secondary password to effect the transfer. Then I got a confirmation, and then I had a link that says if you don't automatically go back to whatever, click here. And I clicked there, and it took me right back to my JubiRev site, and immediately I saw that $15 in my eCash, and then right beneath that, I was able to see the details. It had the date, the amount, and the transaction ID. All right, so that was an automated process. That's what I meant when I said automated process. Meanwhile, while I was doing that, programming was watching it on their end, management was watching it on their end. And so as soon as I did that, management said, yep, we see it. And we see the username and we see the details. That's what we need to see. The first time we did it, Vicky, what was not programmed in it the first time, so I did it a couple of times, was they saw the $15 coming through, but it didn't pass over the username. And they said, well, programming needs to work on that. Programming got on that, and then a couple hours later, they said, hey, let's try it again. We tried it again, and management said, that's it. That's exactly what we need to see. Okay? So that's how that works. Okay, Jubi Rev president said that we would have a few weeks buffer, whereas we would not lose any commissions if we did not immediately have funds available to purchase a subscription. Can you please elaborate on that? I don't know what the time frame is going to be, but the company is certainly aware of a couple of things. As much as it wants to make it as simple as possible for people to load funds, you know, you're going to have some folks that you know, maybe live in other countries, as an example, that loading funds may be a little bit more tedious outside of the U.S. than maybe in the U.S. In the U.S., you know, if you get your Jubi account and you know, you do an ACH, or you get your Jubi account and you do a wire, you get your Jubi account and you load up with Money Dot or Green Dot or whatever it's called. Those are pretty quick and pretty simple. If you already have STP funds, let's assume that Payza is ready to go, hopefully sometime early next week. All right, wonderful. But somebody may have to set up those systems. All right, and so what's going to happen, Anthony, is people are going to start loading the funds. All right, we're not going to purchase any packages tomorrow. We're not going to be purchasing Jubi Bucks tomorrow. Why? Well, because we're still waiting for the manufacturer. The moment you purchase Jubi Bucks, what are you going to want to do? You're going to want to give Jubi Bucks away, and you want customers to be able to use those Jubi Bucks or give samples away. So we should, you know, that may happen next week where we're able to give that away. It may be the week thereafter. But the process now is to start loading up funds. Now, once people start making purchases, the company's going to allow that for a few weeks before it runs its first commission run. And the reason that is because if you've not yet made a purchase, but you've referred someone who has, okay, all right, if you've not made a purchase, all right, if you are, if you don't have, you've made no monthly subscription, you haven't made any purchase of inventory, well, right now you don't have any personal qualifying volume. So you don't get an override right now, okay? Or maybe when you make a purchase, you're going to do the diamond at $200 a month so that you would have 10%, but you had someone that got in the system or loaded their funds quicker than you could, had the resources maybe quicker than you could, made a purchase quicker than you could. That would not be fair if, because I've got solid trust pay and I have funds ready to go, if I was able to load tomorrow, and let's say I was theoretically able to make a purchase tomorrow, but then my personal enroller, you know, it took him a little extra time to either get all that stuff set up or what have you, and then he misses out on the commission. That wouldn't be fair. So the company wants to make sure you get what you have coming to you. So in terms of timelines, Anthony, the president will share more of those timelines. I know what I've heard. I don't know if there's been any changes on that, and I'd be overstepping my bounds if I just told you what I heard, okay? So come tomorrow, but you'll have time. No one should be fretting that. Just make sure that you're going to take some action, all right? Don't say, oh, I'm going to wait until the last minute. Don't do that, okay? Load as soon as you possibly can. Purchase as much as you possibly can based on your resources. Give me a moment. Okay. Ryan, you maybe already got your answer, but Ryan asked a question. He says, okay, so if I'm loading with STP, if I want to get $1,000 into the system to, let's say I want to purchase $200 monthly subscription and I want to purchase $800 in Jubi Bucks, so I want $1,000 back there. Yes, you would need to account for the fees that the company would be charged to receive. The company's not going to eat those fees. So what you need to do is whatever it is that you want in your eCash, whatever amount you want in your eCash, what you need to do is you need to multiply that amount. Let's say if you want $1,000, multiply that times 1.03. And the answer to that equation tells you what you need to be loading with, okay? So you need $1,030 as an example, so that a net of 1,000 gets to your eCash. All right, whatever that number. If it's 500 times 0.103, if it's 100 times 0.03, if it's 5,000. All right, you probably have to do a couple different loads with 5,000 because the biggest amount that I saw yesterday was 2,500. Okay. By the way, again, I think I already said this. I'm hearing folks saying, "Hey, I've got some resources. I want to load with 12,000, 15,000, 20,000. You know, I know I can't buy $20,000 worth of product all at once, but I want to load. So just as soon as I have bought some product and given it away and satisfied the 70% rule, I can buy some more. So I really believe, ladies and gentlemen, that during this pre-launch phase, if we play this pre-launch phase right, some of you could earn into the tens of thousands of dollars in commissions. We've seen that ourselves. We've seen that. I just got a Skype the other day from someone who was telling me that in a company that they were part of a pre-launch, they earned $4,000. They were saying that someone on the team earned $40,000 in commissions during that time. Now, what we're going to want to do is just as soon as we can give away products to generate points, and we have the third party that you can start using with customers and so on and so forth, as soon as we have products that we can give away, we want to start doing that to convert those product purchases into points. Then as the company does a first commission run, that first commission run for many of you is going to be big. It's going to be hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe tens of thousands of dollars. If you will consider taking as much of that as you possibly can to purchase more inventory. We were part of a pre-launch of a company that did revenue sharing with travel, and by the time the daily revenue started, I think we earned $30,000 or so in commissions, but by the time the daily revenue started, we had over 50,000 what we would call points. Now, I didn't really understand how important that pre-launch was. So now my goal is to get many of you to the 30, 40, 50, some of you the 100,000 point mark by the time the daily revenue starts. If we get you to 100,000 points, that means when the daily revenue starts, there's a good chance your daily revenue is going to be 4 figures a night. There's a good chance, can't promise that, but there's a good chance that can happen. All right, someone's asking, will PayPal be acceptable? No, Alan, what you'll find in the U.S., man, PayPal is really tough on marketing companies. So most marketing companies, most marketers, you know, PayPal is not nice to. As a matter of fact, I've got a little dispute with PayPal now, and it's been going on since last year, and it still hasn't been resolved. Because we were promoting something, and they said that was against their terms and conditions. It was for those of you that, well, it was a blog system. You know, we were accepting payments for $25 a month for people to use the blog system, and PayPal shut off my account. So no, the company's not going to either receive funds by PayPal or pay out by PayPal. The company's not going to do that because the chances of PayPal wanting to shut down their account would be very, very high, and we wouldn't want the company to have their account shut down with however many thousands, hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars in time sitting there, and no, we wouldn't want that. Okay, so no PayPal. Someone is asking, what is the point? What's the amount of Jubi points you should have before you consider having a consistent commission plan or cash out plan? Let me tell you what we've taught for the last 2 years in this revenue sharing space. Okay, Michael, I'm going to refer to it here because the way our system is set up is a little bit differently. I'm going to refer to this, my friend, as a 20-80 strategy. Okay, now let me tell you what this means. What's going to happen when the daily revenue starts, okay? When the daily revenue starts, let's say you've got 10,000 Jubi points. You earned that night 125. Your excuse me, your reward is going to be paid in Jubi bucks. Your reward is not going to be paid in cash. It's going to be paid in Jubi bucks. There's a compliance reason for that, and I'll just leave it at that. That would take that could be a whole session itself. There's a compliance reason for that, so it's brilliant why the company is doing that. Okay, so you're paid in the Jubi bucks. Now, what you're going to be able to do is you're going to be able to tell your system before the daily revenue starts. You're going to be able to say, I want a certain percentage of my daily reward to go over to my eCash. And then once it's sitting there in your eCash, you can either commission it out, ask for commissions, or you can buy more product if you want it to, or you can cover the next month's subscription, so on and so forth. Okay? All right. Now, you can request as much as 60% to go to eCash. I would not advise that. I would not recommend that. All right? But you can do that. Maybe you need to do that for a day or 2 or 3. All right. Now, what we taught is, in our system, what's going to happen, Michael, is your system is going to automatically be set to what's called a 0% eCash allocation. What that simply says is, I don't want any of my Jubi bucks to go to cash tonight. I want it all to stay in Jubi bucks. I can give those Jubi bucks away, generate Jubi points. Okay? So in our system, if I set myself to an eCash allocation of 20%, I would be telling the system to take 20% of my Jubi buck reward that night and send that over to my eCash. And then I could commission that out. So, Michael, where you were used to having an 80-20 strategy, we've turned this upside down. It's a 20-80 strategy, but still the same concept. Now, here's Michael's question. Michael's question is, at what point should I consider a 20-80 strategy? At what point should I consider a 20-80 strategy? Well, here's the answer to that. I don't know. Okay? I don't know right now because we're not live. We have no data. We've got we've got nothing that we can use as a to see kind of what we've been looking at in terms of averages. And this is another reason why, Michael, we're going to have a team training site, because I don't know from a corporate standpoint that I'd ever be able to share this with corporate, but I could share this amongst our team. I can't share this. I wouldn't make this available in a public forum in terms of like a YouTube video or what have you. Michael, one of the things that we did with the penny auction model, one of the things we did with the travel model, is we kept meticulous notes. We kept meticulous details on what our daily revenue looked like as a reward per point. We didn't say percentages, reward per point. And over time, you can start to get a sense of what that looks like. You can't project that, hey, this is going to happen the next 90 days, but over time you can kind of get a sense. Based on this, now we can start to build out a cash withdrawal strategy. The first thing I would tell you to do is, number one, as much as you can, you want to have momentum. If your points are earning for 80 days, I would call it momentum 80. If they're earning for 85 days, momentum 85. 95 days, momentum 95. 105 days, momentum 105. Okay? Now, what does momentum mean? If you are at diamond, your points are earned for 105 days. That means you've got no points retiring for the first 105 days. Now, by the way, even though during this pre-launch period you purchase a package, you give away, you earn some points, the calendar is not going to start ticking until the daily revenue starts. So you might be showing points, a week or two before the revenue sharing starts, but the points calendar doesn't start ticking until we go live with the daily revenue sharing. That's when we would call that the soft launch. All right, so what we've taught over these last 2 years is, if you don't have to take out any cash, and if you follow what we teach, you shouldn't have to, because you shouldn't have ever made a purchase with money that you had to have. So most of our folks don't have to take out any cash that first 105 days. They may have funds go to eCash to cover that month's subscription. If they don't want $200 to have to come out of their pocket, let the revenue cover it. And then the rest they allow to go to JubiBucks and JubiBucks and JubiBucks, so that you wind up growing your point totals. Now, I can't promise these numbers. I can tell you what we saw in the penny auction model. I can't promise these numbers, okay? What we saw is that typically if people follow what we taught, and that model had a 90-day retirement across the board, typically if you started with 10,000 points on day one, as an example, I'm using nice round numbers, then by the time you got to your retirement, their first battery of points retiring, those 90 days, your points typically were at about somewhere between 34 and 37,000 points. Then let's say it was 35. All right, then your 10,000 points would retire, so you would have a net, give or take, of about 25,000 points. So what we saw is that if people followed that momentum strategy, people were typically finding that at a net basis, they were about 2.5 to maybe 2.7 times their original point totals, and that's with no recruiting. That number could be much higher if you were building a team, getting commissions, and then using some of those commissions to buy more, what have you. Now, will we have those same numbers? Ladies and gentlemen, I don't expect the reward per point to be the same. Why? Because we will be sending out physical product that has a hard cost to it. If you were dealing with a penny auction, what does it cost to generate a bid? Nothing. All right. If you're sending out a weight loss product, there's a wholesale cost to that. So I don't expect the same rewards per point. What I'm more concerned about is that we have a healthy rewards per point, and we have it for a long time. Okay? Now, this may be one of the reasons why the company said, well, we'd like to have a way where people could earn for 95 days or maybe even 105 days. So maybe 105 days maybe produces this. I don't know. I'm not saying that. I can't promise that. All of my disclaimers, maybe, perhaps, if all of my disclaimers, if I'm being recorded by someone, all of my disclaimers, I don't know. Now to answer your question, Michael, I know this is a detailed, a comprehensive answer to your question. The first thing I would do is I would do momentum, whether it's 80, 85, 95, 105, okay? By the time we get to at least 105 days, all right, I know I'm going to be at $200 a month, so I know my points will be at 105 days. By the time we get there, we should have a really good sense of how things are working, what might be an average reward per point, knowing that tomorrow could be higher or lower, and we'll use all of our disclaimers. Once we know that, Michael, then we can build the entire strategy. The strategy would be, if you want $100 a week cash in hand, we can back in that to assuming a certain average reward per point with no guarantees, that you need to have roughly X amount of Jubi points. We'll be able to back in that, but we need more data. Now, I know that's not I would imagine that's not a video that, well, maybe corporate might allow us to do that video. I'm not sure. But I know that's not a video that can be made public. It would have to be in a password-protected system so that people don't abuse that and try to use that as a, here, we're going to make XYZ. We don't know. That is just for internal training purposes only. Okay? That's a great question, though. By the time your points get to retire, whether you're 80, 85, 95, or 105, we will know enough with the data at that point to be able to give some ideas. It'll be a formula. It'll be real simple. The formula will say, if I want X amount per week, if we average so many rewards per point, you know, as an average, because that average could go up or down, then I need X amount of points. So if that means I need to be at 10,000 points and I'm at 8,000 points, then I know what my target is. That means I need to be at 30,000 points and I know what my target is, because everybody's what they want to get on a weekly basis is going to be different than the next person. But we can give you the formula. We just need the data. When do you get to see the Jubi brand products? You will see them, D, as soon as Jubi Max is alive. That is on the test server that you guys can't see right now, but just as soon as Jubi Max is alive, meaning the manufacturer is ready to ship out, then Jubi Max will be alive and you'll be able to see all the products. You'll be able to see product descriptions, ingredients, and all that good stuff. Okay. Answered Michael's question about when Jubi Max will be ready once the manufacturer is ready. That could happen as early as next week. You're also referring to our... Dawn Z, you're absolutely right. It wasn't their fault. Dawn is asking about customers not seeing some of us that have purchased customers in the past for whether it was a penny auction model or a travel model, that in many cases the customers never saw the site. Yes, Dawn, that wasn't their fault. It was the vendor that they were using, and they recently found that out. So what they will be doing for our Jubi Rev audience with customers is they've gone to another source of customers, real customers that will actually see your site, so that they have a much better potential of converting. Mary is saying, I think a team site, a team training site would be great if we could use a play on the words jubilant or jubilee if Jubi is already in use. Mary, I've got tons of Jubi of Jubi URLs. I thought I had JubiRev team, and I was told last week that when I announced that it was going to be JubiRevTeam.com that someone said, well, no, because I've got that. But thank you for announcing my URL. So I just have to go in once they have the site and just tell them which is. I got a bunch of Jubi URLs. Okay. Thank you, CC. I appreciate that. Isaac. Excuse me. Excuse me. See, this is why I like to do my webinars. I couldn't do this on a corporate webinar. Isaac, for those of you who've not been with us that long, you haven't really heard my best skill set. You know, I'm not good at much. I'm a dude that got kicked out of college, delivered pizzas, and I've made my claim to fame in presenting and training and singing. Got golden, silky vocals. Proud to be an American, well, at least I know I'm free. Or at least I used to be. I don't know how free we are these days. But anyway. Boy, that boy is talented, golden, silky vocals. That's just for you, Isaac. And that's for you, Jeff. You tell Jayla I sang just for her. You tell her that, okay, buddy? Thank you, Isaac. Sean, you are amazing, man. Okay, Sean is asking me what are the requirements to earning on a daily basis other than the ad that we'll be placing a day. There's going to be a couple, but they're going to be very, very simple. One, I know I can share. The other one, I think there was still a little discussion of. No, that was about more of how much production needed to be done to earn at certain levels. Okay. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm not making any sense to you guys right now. So Sean is saying, what will be my requirements? Give me a moment to earn from the daily revenue. Okay. All right, Sean. Place an ad a day. Okay. Got it. All right. You need to have at least 15 PQV, personal qualifying volume. Obviously, if you have a monthly subscription, you've got that. If you don't have a monthly subscription, you need to make sure that somebody buys some stuff from you, okay? All right, now, everyone will have this 60-day window here. So everyone will start off from day one, and then, you know, a year from now, they'll have 60 days. But they'll need to have, this is very important, this is very key, they'll need to have within 60 days, after 60 days, you need to have $30 a month, that's it, of sales volume from non-promoters. And to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, that's laughable. What does that mean? That means I need my Aunt Jan, who I love dearly and she loves me dearly, but she doesn't have an entrepreneurial bone in her body. Aunt Jan, I need you to get some product every month. I'm going to put you on auto ship for $30 a month. That's what that means. Now, I believe that we're going to have a lot more than that because people are going to have the product, especially if people are getting the samples and they come back and they consume more. But Sean, how difficult is that? If you have 10,000 points and you had a night of 125, how difficult is it going to be to make sure you got a customer that has $30 a month in sales volume? If you have $1,000 a month, 1,000 Jubi points, and you earn 12.5, as an example, how difficult is that going to be? But I want to show you something why this one requirement is so huge. Let me show you why this one requirement is so huge, okay? Sean, remember that penny auction company? I'm told they had 700,000 subscribing members, 700,000. If they had had that one little extra sales requirement, and think about it, $30 a month, come on. If they had had that one extra sales requirement, that alone would have generated another $21 million a month. That, a good amount of that, all right, a good amount of that would have been profit, because with Jubi Rev, Jubi Max, remember what's going to happen there. We did a video number 3 in your training, compensation training, is when someone buys products from you as a non-promoter, as just a customer, if you are a Jade, and let's start learning these ranks. Jade, $15 a month subscription gets you Jade, you're going to earn 5%. If you're a Ruby, $50 a month, you're going to earn 7%. If you're Emerald, $100 a month, you're going to earn 8%. If you are Diamond, $200 a month, you're going to earn 10%. Now you look at that and you say, well, wait a minute, when I was in ABC Nutritional Company and someone bought a case of juice from me, I got 20% or 25%. You're absolutely right. What you didn't get was a revenue share. So what's going to happen here is a smaller percent of that is paid, to the person that did the sale. The company obviously has to cover the wholesale cost of the product, but then there's a lot of profit in there that then is going to feed into our daily revenue. This would have been an extra $21 million, in just pure revenue coming from outside the network. So when Mr. Regulator would have come in and taken a look at this company, they would have been able to say, hey, wait a minute, what do you mean? I mean, we're generating $21 million just in product sales, and that's just the minimum. There's going to be, people are going to wind up having a lot more production than that. That's just your minimum there, okay? Also, what that also does is it immediately, you've got 60 days, all right? All right, and if you're at your 60 days, go get your cousin and get your cousin $30. Come on, it's not that difficult, right? All right. Look at this. What this also does, one of the things that Mr. Regulator wants to see, he wants to see a good a customer to promoter ratio. How many customers do you have for promoters? With just this one little requirement there, ladies and gentlemen, we know that we're going to have at least a 1-to-1 ratio. Now, they want to see more than that, but at least does that. So, in other words, I want to continue earning, right? I'm going to make sure I have my $30 a month customer. Now, here's the thing. I don't have to go out and get one system out there. You have to go out and get 2 new customers every 90 days. That's a little confusing. You don't have to worry about that. Get you a customer on AutoShip. Get your customer on AutoShip. Get your sister on some skincare. Yeah, I'd love for her to pay for it. Worst case. Think about it. It's business, guys. Worst case. And that's what I'll do. I want my customers. I'll probably have plenty of customers that have nothing to do with the income opportunity. But it's the worst case. Whatever I need in terms of production, we're going to make sure, because we're going to make plenty of money to cover that. That's just the cost of doing business. I can't say that on the corporate webinar, but I can say it on mine. You know what, guys? We are well over. You guys are still here. Most of you are still here, but I've got another webinar to do at 9:30. Give me, hey, Michael, would you do me a favor? Michael Hodges. Michael was saying it'd be great if we had some static banner ads and not just an animated one so people could use them in email marketing. Michael, how about you send a support ticket to that effect? Send a support ticket to that effect. By the way, our support team is absolutely amazing. It's rare that a support ticket is not addressed within 12 hours. They're knocking those things out, okay? Foy. Oh, Foy, do me a favor. Yeah, if Kelly, if you're on here, please forgive me, buddy. I saw your email. I've had some projects that had to get done this week, and working on the PowerPoint, and working on some other things, and so I basically just tuned out most of everything else. In some cases, even took the phone off the hook so that I could do some recordings and editing and things of that nature. Foy, I don't know if Kelly is on here. Would you pass that along to him and let him know I've not forgotten about him? Just been, we've been burning it at both ends. So the question is the banking system completely outside of the U.S.? No, it's not completely outside of the U.S. because since we have manufacturing in the U.S. and in many cases to be able to get merchant accounts, some of the merchant providers wanted to see a U.S. presence and U.S. banking. So not all of the banking is outside the U.S. There is banking outside the U.S., but not all of the banking is outside of the U.S., okay? That's not an issue, however. You can have banking in the U.S., and then you can, if you feel it necessary, you can move funds offshore as long as it's documented and what have you. The biggest thing is to making sure that Mr. Taxman is satisfied and is not seen as a way to evade any taxes or anything like that. But do understand, I know why you're asking that, kind of concerned about, you're proud to be an American, well, at least you used to be free. And the regulations here in the U.S., they've gotten really, in my opinion, way out of hand. I prefer not to do any business here myself, So I understand where that question comes from. Just know that the company is set up very well in terms of making sure that it's doing things from a U.S. perspective, but also making sure that you don't just have somebody coming in one day and all of a sudden everything is, coming to a halt. Okay, just understand that. That's all I should say about that right now. Shannon, I don't know if Bob still has any co-op, but if you, hopefully you've got his email address. I don't have it at my disposal. I'll send him an email and he can let you know, okay? Betty, great question. I have to find out for you. Betty says the customer signs up, registers at your site. Does the company send them a confirmation email? I think that's going to happen, but I need to check. Lyndon, you started a question, but I don't know that you finished it, so I don't know if I know enough to answer your question. And I've got to jump over to another webinar just the same, so I won't be able to get to everybody's questions. I love you guys. I hope you picked that up by now. And we're going to go on and jump over to the Everyday Can Be Payday webinar. Can Be Payday webinar.com. We'll see you also tomorrow at 12 noon. $2,000 is going to be given away at the 12 noon, and then $2,000 is going to be given away at the 9 p.m. I'm going to be thinking about this now. We'll do a poll. Do you want 20 people to get $100 apiece? Do you want 10 people to get $200 apiece? How do you want to set up that $2,000 giveaway on tomorrow? So be thinking about that so that we'll know how to do that, okay? All right, with that being said, we love each and every one of you. Let's change the world together, starting with yours. Remember, with Jubi Rev, Jubi Max, not just a company, it's a movement. Good day, everyone.